Ugh. Yuck. God, you guys startled me. Wait. What are you guys doing here so early? You couldn't wait to watch the review. How do you expect to watch it? I'm not even done editing it yet. You guys are gonna have to wait 5 seconds for me to finish this. I'm serious, you guys can't watch me. You need to leave. Ferris Bueller is a comedy film starring Matthew Broderick and is directed by John Hughes. If you didn't know, this movie came out in June 1986, so there may be some spoilers in this review. You've been warned. And if you haven't seen this movie yet, what are you doing with your life? I'm joking, of course, because as of a few months ago, I hadn't seen this movie either. Really, the only reason I checked it out was because I was hanging out with my father, and I was telling him a story about something, and I can't remember exactly what the story was, otherwise I'd tell you guys too. But he made a comment, he's like, "What are you, Ferris Bueller?" And I had no idea what he was talking about. That was way over my head. This movie came out 8 years before I was born. I was born in 94, so yeah, that went right over my head. Turns out I went to Fred Meyer 2 weeks later, and just so happens that Ferris Bueller was on sale, and so I had to snatch it up and see what the heck my dad was talking about. And here I am. And I have to say that I am really glad that I watched it, because as I was watching it, I picked up on a lot of references that other shows that I enjoy, like Family Guy, American Dad. You know, there's tons of others, but they make a lot of references to Ferris Bueller. And I just thought maybe it was some other movie. I don't know. But it's nice to finally see and have some closure as to where all these TV shows and movies were getting their references from. One thing to note going into this movie is that Ferris Bueller has a incredible habit of breaking the fourth wall. If you don't know what breaking the fourth wall means, it's an old theatrical term, and basically it means, well, in movie's sake, it means that they're addressing the camera, they're addressing the audience, they look at and talk to the audience, and usually the rest of the people in the movie don't have any idea, or like they're like stopped in time or something. Kind of like Deadpool. If you've seen Deadpool, he turns to the camera, he's like, "Did you see that?" Kind of what Ferris Bueller is all about. Ferris Bueller is a high school delinquent and a cool cat who does the second thing that any high schooler would rather be doing at any time, and that's skipping school. And we all know the first. The film starts out with Ferris Bueller convincing and manipulating his parents into letting him stay home from school because he's sick, which is obviously just a ploy for him to get out of school while his parents work and his sister still has to go to school because she's not sick. And of course the family falls for it because they're oblivious. Anywho, thank God they did fall for it, because we really wouldn't have a movie if they didn't. Directly after his parents leave the house, we get one of the funniest monologues from a teenager probably ever. I do have a test today. That's not bullshit. It's on European socialism. And really, what's the point? I'm not European. I don't plan on becoming European. So who really gives a crap if they're socialists? They could be fascist anarchists. It doesn't change the fact that I don't own a car. After his monologue and some of his other shenanigans are over, Ferris places a call to his best friend Cameron, who just so happens to be sleeping in that day, and they come up with an elaborate plan to break Ferris's girlfriend out of school. It takes Ferris some time to convince Cameron to actually skip school instead of just showing up late. Once he is convinced, this takes us and launches us on our little adventure with Ferris. The movie then cuts to Principal Ed Rooney, played by Jeffrey Jones. He does an amazing job playing an obsessive jerk face of principal. Kind of reminded me of my old high school principal, honestly. Just kind of scary. At this point, Principal Rooney is starting to catch on that Ferris Bueller has had an excessive amount of absences, and when he hears that Ferris was absent yet again, it triggers him. This is the last straw. He decides that he's going to take actions into his own hands, and he's going to chase down Ferris Bueller. Principal Rooney is really convinced that he can catch Ferris Bueller in the act of faking sick, and he's tried to contact Ferris's parents, and they assure him that he is not the type of kid that skips school, and he actually is sick that day. Obviously, like I said before, they're completely oblivious. Being the smooth talker that he is, Ferris then convinces Cameron to allow him to take out Cameron's dad's beautiful, pristine Ferrari for a test drive, and to kind of allow them to drive around the town in luxury. Cameron is weary about this, but he just can't resist Ferris's charm. So they end up taking the Ferrari out, and we'll get to that later. This then brings us to the hilarious restaurant scene. And if you have seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I'm just not going to spoil it. I'll leave this little gem in here for you guys that decided to watch this review up until now, that still haven't seen the movie. You guys will appreciate me for this. Just go watch that scene. Watch the whole movie, but watch that scene. As the movie progresses forward, the group travels around the city and enjoys their rebellious lifestyle for the little time that they have left. In a couple instances, the group almost has some close encounters with running into their parents and the principal, who always seems like he's one step behind him for the entire movie. But Principal Rooney is really determined on catching Ferris playing hooky. Having little time remaining, the group rushes to get back home before their parents can find out what they had done. And they encounter multiple obstacles along the way that could cause them to get caught. I really don't want to spoil the climax of the movie, especially for those of you that are watching this review and haven't seen the movie. What I will say is that at the last 15 minutes, there is a lot of tension, and of course a lot of comedy as well. All in all, I'd have to say that the things that I enjoyed most about this movie were really good acting. I finally understood all those references that all those TV shows and movies were making. And a lot of the jokes still, made me laugh to this day, and that came out a while ago. I thought it'd be very meta, and it was to an extent, which could be seen as a negative to some people, especially my age that didn't see it, in 1986. As for the cons of this movie, I felt like, again, what I was just saying, some of the jokes could have gone over my head. If they did, I obviously didn't know, because they might have been meta at the time. But really, there isn't much, except the parent. I know it's not something to complain about because the movie wouldn't have worked without it, but the parents were just so freaking oblivious. My lord. There was at least 30 times in the movie where if the parent had just looked up or just used one brain cell, they would have caught Ferris skipping school. But obviously the movie wouldn't have worked without it. It was a great movie. Not on the top of my list for my personal favorites. It is, I would say, it's a classic. It's a classic to me because it obviously came out before I was born and everything. It is a great movie. I'm going to rate it 3.5 out of 5 stars. That's going to wrap it up for me, guys. Have you guys seen Ferris Bueller? If you have, comment below and let me know what you guys thought about it. And I hope to see you guys back here during the next review, which will be next Monday or Tuesday probably. So I hope to see you guys there. You're still here? The review's over. Click on another video. Like this one. Go.